Welcome back. The cannabis business is booming in Michigan. Our Amir Makupson spoke with the executive director of the state's marijuana regulatory agency to get his thoughts on marijuana's economic impact.
Is cannabis good for the Michigan economy?
With the previous doling out of taxes that just came back from fiscal year 22, that's approximately $51,800 to every municipality or county for every retailer, adult use retailer that they have. So if there's a municipality that has, let's say, 5 of these, that's 5 times $51,800 for each of those. And that is the amount of money that comes back. And so how that's distributed, and again, it's in accordance to the statutes in the Adult Use Act. First, funds are distributed for implementation, administration, enforcement of the act, like us and others. And then the remainders are distributed as follows. So 15% go to municipalities and retail stores, 15% go to counties with retail stores, 35% go to the school aid fund, and then 35% goes back to the Michigan Transportation Fund. And from what we had last year, with an approximate total of $325 million in total from both of those taxes, that's about a 30% increase over the previous year's taxes. And the way that it's progressing right now, it would not be a difficult prediction to make that we could, foresee potential $500 million in taxes next year.
If you didn't know, Michigan was the first state in the Midwest to legalize recreational marijuana back in 2018. Earlier tonight, Terrence Friday and I spoke with Detroit City Council President Pro Tem James Tate and healthcare and cannabis reporter for Crain's Detroit Business, Dustin Walsh, to learn more about the state of the industry.
Councilman, we'll start with you. How are you feeling about where we are right now with this and the impact that it's having on the community?
Yeah, I'm feeling good. It was a long battle, but when we look at the results of it, I'm very pleased at where we are today in terms of the numbers. So we have currently 36 licenses for adult use retail. Those are what people traditionally call dispensaries in the city of Detroit. Those are the ones that are most competitive. And of those 36 licenses, 20 of those have Detroiters who own 51% of the ownership of those establishments. Of those 20, 17 are African American. So when we look at half of the industry being actual bona fide Detroiters, and then the great majority of them being African Americans, that completely it goes against what we're seeing around the country, where you see 2 to 3% African American ownership. So I'm very pleased at seeing the demographic of the city being reflected in this industry, which was a big fear for residents in the city, and being able to start to see some movement now in areas that we didn't see before.
So that's encouraging news, sort of the beginning of a new chapter in Detroit. But Dustin, outside of Detroit, this has been going on for a few years now, and we're starting to see some trends in the industry. How would you say the industry is doing right now overall?
I think they're fearful. Prices are very, very low because of oversupply, and a lot of it has to do with the major city didn't have recreational cannabis for so long. There's a lack of dispensaries. There's probably not enough dispensaries to move the product that they're growing. So prices are very low, and we're sort of seeing that shakeout of a maturing industry where maybe people weren't the best at the business side, and really trying to make ends meet is becoming more difficult. And so, it's kind of a rocky road right now.
Yeah.
So for Detroit, we know that they're giving out those licenses to equity applicants. What are those numbers looking like? And also just in terms of how much of a battle it's taken just to get to this point, where do you see it going? Yeah,
about half of the licenses, again, are equity applicants. And that was why we designed it that way. We've seen around the country, if you do not be intentional about including those who have been traditionally frozen out of the industry, and especially those who have been on the wrong side of the law, if you will, the failed war on drugs, you find that, again, 2 to 3%. And we've seen now in the city of Detroit, because we did have a separate track for equity applicants, and they did not have to necessarily compete against those more well-funded entities. We created 2 streams, and now we have, the numbers that we see today. And again, very, very, very strong numbers. We still have 2 more rounds of licensing to go, and I look forward to seeing the same results as we move forward.
So James mentioned competing with these better funded applicants out there, the bigger players in the industry. You've done some reporting recently, Dustin, about some really unfavorable terms a lot of these dispensary owners or growers have been agreeing to. What's happening on that side of things?
Right, and so that's a trend that we've seen sort of exist, because if you have a private funder that is a wealthy billionaire, which typically tends to be white men in this country, which is why we've had an issue with equity in that space. But those loans tend to be the okay ones. It's when they're having to go through like maybe some banking, because traditional banks are not lending because it's still illegal federally. So you're seeing sort of like almost like a private equity setup, some mortgage lease buybacks. So what's happening is these terms are outrageous. The most recent one was a company that took out a $3.6 million loan with a 25% interest rate, which doesn't sound that insane, but when you sort of measure it out over the 3 years, they had to pay $80,000 a month on this loan, and then they had a balloon payment at the end of that 3 years that was $3.8 million. So they ended up paying $6.5 million for a $3.5 million loan in 3 years, which is pretty incredible.
Yeah.
Do you feel like it's just going to take more time for people to just come to terms with the fact that this is a regular thing and that people are using it more for these purposes?
Yeah, I mean, really what it's going to take is federal legalization for sort of the banking system to come on board. The feds have tried they've tried legislation to sort of make banking easier. None of it really works. Until you can get Chase and some of these larger banks to really start entering the business space up there, we're going to just continue to see these insanely high interest rates, these really bad terms, which isn't good for anyone to succeed. It's very hard to succeed in this industry unless you have a bag man, right? Unless you have someone really funding you. And those people, especially when the market's not doing great, aren't really eager to lend out money.
Joining me now to help us better understand the ins and outs of the industry is Aric Klar, CEO of Quality Roots. Thanks for joining me today.
Thanks for having me.
So you guys have several locations. You just opened one in Berkeley.
Correct, yeah.
Correct. How did you get into the industry, and tell us just what the journey's been so far?
Yeah, so everybody who knows me has known since I was a young man that I've always wanted to be in this industry. I grew up in the pharmacy business, so compliance and regulation has always been top of mind for our family. Always been around retail. So with those things connecting and my love for cannabis, as regulations got cleaner and the state got behind things and our family got comfortable, we just thought it was an avenue to take our skill sets and take our family beliefs and understandings and apply it to an industry that's evolving and growing in a place that we want to be.
And we heard Dustin from Crane's Detroit Business say earlier, there's an abundant supply. He said there are not enough dispensaries to go around to sell all of the product that has been grown, and prices are low. How is all that working out for your business?
Yeah, so prices are going up again, and we have to thank our director, Brian Hanna, for that, putting an emphasis on enforcement, right? The first 2 years of any business is to develop it, right? So that's what our first director, Andrew Brisbo's job was to develop the industry, and now Brian Hanna's job is to protect that. So now that things are being protected, we're actually seeing prices rise, and we're seeing the industry be more protected, which gives people like Quality Roots a better reason to keep investing in the industry. So it's an exciting time.
Now, when prices are going down, and they've come down significantly, I think he said the price went from 500 something to maybe 80 now?
Yeah. I mean, numbers all over the place, but one thing that people aren't talking enough about is the positives of the industry, right? Of course, numbers are going down, but that allows people to be more comfortable with multiple different products that are available into the market. It allows the full license market to actually capitalize on the gray or black market. So people are now getting or have more trust in their purchases because they're at price points that they're maybe more familiar with, not in a licensed environment. So we're actually seeing the benefit of that at Quality Roots. Our stores, our numbers are growing every day, every month. And it's because new people are coming into our door. And those new people are coming into our door because things are more affordable. The industry is finally affordable. So that's exciting to us. If you want to spend $500 in our store, you can. If you want to spend $5 in our store, you can. So somebody likes to connect with a lot of people and appreciates the diversity of the industry. That's very exciting for us.
So with prices starting to go back up, is there any concern that it starts to go too far back in that direction?
No, again, I think it's just the industry settling, right? There's so many good people in the industry. Some of my competitors, are in this just like myself, hour by hour, and we'll be the guys who are able to educate our consumers on why and protect the prices that we need to.
So your most recent location in Berkeley, where are your other locations, and what's the community reaction been like?
Yeah, the community reaction you think is, people always think is going to be negative, right? There's so much negative impact, but we opened up Berkeley 2 weeks ago, and the amount of thank yous that we've gotten for refurbishing this building, for investing in this community, for being part of these community events this summer has been, so exciting and so warming. You know, I lived in Berkeley for a long time, so that community is very important to me, but every community that we're a part of is very important. They've never seen something like this before, and they trusting people like myself and my team to deliver on the things that we've promised them, but also deliver on our community beliefs and making sure that people are okay and happy with us at all times. So that changes by community, but again, we're just selling weed, and we just feel that the approach is everything. So if the people trust us, then the product speaks for itself.
When legalization first happened, and this has been the case here and in several other states, there are a lot of fears. Some communities are afraid of what it will do, what it's going to bring to the neighborhood. Have you seen that soften in the years since it's been legal here?
Yeah, you know, the classic line, the news is the news, right? So everybody gets, you know, different flavors and different understandings of, you know, how things will go. But at the end of the day, I think people want this use, and people want to see this industry grow. And communities that are reluctant to it are looking at other people and other communities to see how it's, you know, positively or negatively impacted them.
Yeah.
And I think that's what you're seeing Michigan do right now. You're seeing it evolve. You're seeing communities get comfortable with this, right? Berkeley, at the heart of Oakland County, comfortable with this, which is awesome to see. And, you know, I think that's the start of more communities just getting comfortable with it.
Yeah. Have you seen the mentality change, or have you noticed that? Even just, obviously it's changed around the country as more and more states, it's been sort of a domino effect. Have you seen that sort of cultural change firsthand?
Yeah, I think cultural acceptance is 100% here. You know, my grandmother, who would slap me on the hand if she saw me with, you know, one of these products 10 years ago, is still shaking her head, but she's not slapping me now.
Okay.
You know, my mom, who is a pharmacist and was completely against this for a number of years, now understands its benefits, right? Understands its benefits and its blissful aspect, you know, but while also understanding that people do use this from an intoxication perspective. You know, it's a level of a lot of different things. It's just about doing it ethically. So I think that's what myself and Quality Roots do really well, and a lot of my other competitors do very well.
Sure. Speaking of the competitors, what is the community like? You know, your fellow business owners, fellow dispensaries, how is that community evolved?
It's a great question. I mean, there's a handful of us who respect each other and respect the businesses that we're building, and then there's people out here who are, you know, looking to, you know, they're looking at everything by the day, right? I think a handful of us, I could speak to a few of them, are focusing on tomorrow and focusing on being part of this long-term industry. We're all but writing the yellow book for dummies on this industry today. Sure. Right? That doesn't exist. So I think that's the most exciting part.
Yeah, certainly doesn't seem to be going anywhere anytime soon.
It's definitely not going anywhere. We see an average of our consistent stores anywhere from 50 to 80 new patients a day.
Wow.
And that's people, again, getting comfortable with it because of price points, because it's finally in the community that they're close to. They don't have to drive far for it, and I think it's acceptance overall.
Yeah. What does the future look like for Quality Roots, and what do you think for the industry overall in Michigan?
Yeah, so the industry in Michigan overall I think is in a very exciting time right now. Again, I give a lot of credit to Brian Hanna. I give a lot of credit to my fellow competitors who are stabilizing this industry. Quality Roots is invested in Michigan, you know, for the long-term basis, right? We have new stores coming online in Madison Heights and Ypsilanti in the near future. So the heart of Oakland County is really where we're primarily focused right now. That's where I'm from. That's where my family's from. That's where my kids are growing up. We are taking our company to New Jersey at the tail end of this year. So a Michigan company going to a different state, which we're very excited about. And to be honest, you know, the growth of the buildings is exciting, but Quality Roots today is at roughly 160 employees, probably getting to 250 by the end of the year. And that's the most exciting thing to myself, is bringing all the new people into this industry, the people who have been in this industry, to a business that takes care of them like they take care of our business. And I don't see ourselves stopping that anytime soon.
Nice. We are running out of time, but just out of curiosity, why New Jersey?
The framework is very simple, very similar to Michigan.
Okay.
It's a home rule state, so municipalities really get to make the decision. And I've been able to make a lot of connections in that state, and people looking at people like myself to bring direction to the entire industry there. So I've been very vocal in the state for going on 2 years now. There's only 35 to 40 active stores in the state, and I just see it as a ripe opportunity to take what we've learned here and grow it further.
All right. Well, Aric, thanks so much
thanks
for joining
so much
us.
for having me. Yeah,
Good luck with your ventures
Thank you
going
so much.
forward. This is Aric Klar from Quality Roots.